Friends, good afternoon. I'm extremely happy to welcome you all to the uh, science web series conducted by the physics department, the UG and PG of St. Philomena College. As you are aware, this web series is conducted in association with Regional Science Center Pilikula due to the support of Dr. K.V. Rao. In fact, Dr. K.V. Rao was here for the inaugural session of the web series yesterday. And in the first talk in the yesterday, we had a excellent lecture by Haldodderi Sudhindra on the science behind rain, uh, the life and the contribution of eminent scientist Roddam Narasimha. Today we have another eminent speaker, Kollegala Sharma, scientist and the science writer. More than that, good friend of mine. Friends, Kollegala Sharma was a well-known personality in the field of science propagating activities. Um, you see, in the whole of India, there are very few science magazines. For example, earlier days we had the Science Today and then the Science Age. And one of the magazines still it is running on. It is a Science Reporter. And this Science Reporter is get published by CSIR, the Council of for Science, Industry and Research. And the Kollegala Sharma was the editor of this magazine for several years. And Professor Sharma was also a scientist at CFTRI Mysore. Now he got retired and fully dedicated his entire time for the propagation of the science. And his science writing in Kannada is beautiful. The articles in the various magazines, such as the Kannada Prabha and so on behalf of the college and all the participants of the webinar, I welcome Professor Kollegala Sharma for this particular webinar series. Welcome you. I also welcome each one of you for the this particular webinar. And now, Dr. Deepak E. Silva, coordinator of the this particular webinar, will going to welcome you all of you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome our guest of honor and speaker of this webinar, A.S.K.V.S. Sharma, on this occasion. I also welcome our HOD, Dr. A.P. Radhakrishnan, and all the participants for this webinar. Now, let me give the brief introduction of our guest. A.S.K.V.S. Sharma, Ambale Srikantan Kalyana Venkata Subramanya Sharma, well-known science communicator in Kannada, is a former chief scientist of the prestigious Central Food Technological Research Institute, Mysore. A postgraduate in zoology, he has been communicating science in Kannada since 1984 under the pen name Kollegala Sharma. He has had experience in editing as an assistant editor in Science Reporter, as a columnist for 16 years in Kannada Prabha, in audio as a coordinator for several programs of Vigyan Prasar for All India Radio, as a podcaster for the past 4 years, producing a weekly first and then a daily Kannada science podcast called Jana Suddhi. Inveterate experimenter Sri Sharma is also the first to begin a science blog in Kannada. He has also been a trainer in workshops held by various agencies like KRVP, that is Karnataka Rajya Vijnana Parishad, KSTA, Karnataka Science and Technology Academy, Vigyan Prasar, NCSTC, that is National Council for Science and Technology, National Translation Mission, and Pratham Books on Writing Science in Kannada and translation of science and technology texts. He is also mentoring teachers of sighted and blind in teaching science effectively. His podcast, Janasuddhi, reaches nearly 3,000 people every day, besides being broadcast for a wider audience through 4 community radios, including Radio Panchajanya Puttur. Sri Sharma has contributed more than 2,500 articles on science in Kannada, around 250 in English, and more than 500 podcasts and about 10 science fiction short stories. One of his books, Marala Melina Hejjegalu, received the Best Popular Science Book Award from the Karnataka Science and Technology Academy in the year 2010. The Vision Group on Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka, has also bestowed him with a state level award for Best Science Communication Efforts in 2011. His translation of a Kannada story received the Katha Best Translation Award in 1994. One of his studies on science communication in Kannada is published in a book, The Challenges of Communicating Science in Regional Languages, Experiments in Kannada, published by Springer. Sri Sharma has also trained PhD students in science writing, 10 of whom received award under the AUSER, a competition on science writing for PhD students held by DST. He is also a evaluator and has participated as a jury in national competitions organized by Vigyan Prasar, New Delhi. With this brief introduction, I request Dr. A.P. Radhakrishna to take over.
Friends, Dr. Sharma will be going to speak on how to be an inventor. It is a very, very interesting topic. Now, over to Dr. Sharma. Please, sir.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me. It's always very difficult to be in a virtual world. You don't know where you are and you don't know who are in front of you. So before I start, I have a request to Mr. Deepak, Dr. Deepak. So can we have a few of you, the audience, to be on the panel? So my suggestion is, it's very simple. We have to choose somewhere. So the choice has to be, random, and therefore all of you are physicists, so you all know what is randomization. So what I suggest here is that some of you who have your birthday today, wish you happy birthday. I know a few of you will be there, if not at least this month. And those people who have a birthday today or this month, and with the names starting from A, P, and S. I have left R there because APR will be there. So therefore A, P, and S, any of you, please be there. So we will allow you to ask some questions or answer some questions. Okay. So that way, I think I will also be comfortable speaking to you people. Otherwise, it will be a monologue. Okay. Just give me a minute. Let me just start my presentation. Then we'll start the lecture. So what I will be doing today is to speak about I'll be speaking about generally how do we train ourselves to be a inventor or an innovator. Okay, so that's what my interest is. The interest is because CSIR generally conducts a competition every year, and it's for students under 18 years. So you are all much above that, I am sure. And but fortunately, you will also have some of your friends or your brothers and sisters who are under 18 years and still studying second PU or something like that. And I would like you to tell them about this particular competition. And if you can listen to this talk, and if you think that this is interesting, probably you can also try to be an innovator in future. So one of the questions that people do ask is, almost everybody thinks that a scientist is generally a born genius. Okay, we say that okay, Einstein was a genius, Edison was a genius, and everybody was a genius. So can we train ourselves to be this kind of skilled geniuses? I call innovators as skilled geniuses because they are intelligent. At the same time, they also know that they have to try and do certain things. Okay, and that skill is also very much essential. So I would always say a innovator or a inventor as a genius and a skilled genius. Okay, so this is the first question I'm going to ask you, and you'll be laughing at me for having asked this question, because yesterday you had seen Dr. Haldodderi Sudhindra, who came from DRDO. He was a scientist there and a senior scientist, and today I call myself as a scientist and I am before you. And if I'm asking this question, you would say, what is it innate? So the question is, we generally think that a scientist is someone who is trained in physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, and other things. I have a different view. A scientist is a sort of a mentality, a kind of behavior that we need to develop, or you can say it's a kind of training. And you can also be a born scientist or an inventor. Look at this. I would call this child as an inventor because, or an innovator, or a scientist. Look at the kid, and he's curious about everything around him, and this is what he is doing. If you don't believe, let me just show you a video which says that children at that age could be much, much, much better than many of us. Please have a look at it. I'm sure you would have seen this on WhatsApp several times. Look at the kid. He's not playing. He's actually solving a problem. And in his own way, with resources that he has. He's not asking for anything. Now is the best part. He is measuring if his task, what he has done, is okay. He's so confident. Look at him. Wow. Fantastic. Give him a claps. Okay. Now that was a scientist, born genius. Okay. Let me just ask you another question. How many of these people are innovators or inventors? I know, and if you can name all 6 of them, I'll be happy. I know that you can name at least 2 of them. Can you, and 3 of them? Yes, you are from Puttur. So, of course, the 5th person is also very familiar to you. Okay, let me just start with this. This fellow is Dr. S.S. Bhatnagar. the person who established the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, from which the organization which has 38 laboratories across India. But more than that, he was one person who invented a very wonderful thing which is used even today after 70 years. He invented a method, or he invented a chemical, extracted a chemical from a very common vegetable, what we call as in Kannada gorikai. And he extracted a resin from the seeds of that, which is being used in one of the prestigious industries all over the world, and it is exported only for that purpose. The seeds, which we don't usually use, is exported only for that purpose, for extraction of petroleum as a lubricant, in the oil wells. That was his contribution, and he was just 30 years at that time. Of course, I don't have to tell about this person, very well known, extremely well known. So he is the third person. And the fourth one is, of course, all the physicists must be knowing. Maybe you all are aware of Saha equation, and this is Meghnad Saha, a inveterate physicist, and he was a very vocal physicist, vocal critic of several of the things that were being done in India at the time. But more importantly, he was also a popular scientist, in the sense he didn't just stop at doing science, he also became a people's representative, an MP on election. How many of scientists do we see like that? We don't. And of course, there is this person, TFI, and I have put him here among the gallery of scientists. And if you may be wondering why I have put him here, mainly because it was an innovative procedure that he adopted in the banking system. That was wonderful at the time. Probably many of you know about the microfinancing started by TFI long back, first in the Syndicate Bank and then throughout the India by other banks. And this lady is the only Fields Medal winner in mathematics, and that's why I have put it here. So mathematics is usually supposed to be a men's paradise or a paradigm, and if a lady excels in that, that will be always appreciated. So all these people have done one or other things new in their career, and how did they do? Were they born to do it, or did they train themselves? Is the question that I usually ask. And one of the things that I find is that when we talk about innovation, invention is to find something new, or do something new, and innovate is to make something that is already there into a new one. Okay, and we can always talk of innovations in several ways. The innovation need not be always a gadget. Generally, people think that yes, designing a gadget is the important thing in any innovation. Not necessarily. That's why I had put TFI there. He devised a procedure. Okay, so an innovation can be a new method, a new process, or a new device, a new tool, a new product, or even a new idea, like a microfinancing, bringing the bank to your home, okay, to your doorsteps. And that was just one sentence, bringing banking to your doorsteps. And how it can be done was something that TFI did at a time, and the impact of that was extremely good in a place like Dakshina Kannada. Mainly because in Dakshina Kannada, it's not like Mysore or Bangalore, where the houses and people stay very close by, and you are so dispersed. Many houses were isolated at that time, not so crowded these days, like these days. And at that time also, the banking was reached to each one's place. The bankers used to go on bicycle, collect money, or collect deposits from the people from their homes, whatever it is, 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 10 rupees. And that was a very novel experiment in not only in India, but across the world. And that is why I have put him as an innovator there. So an innovator can be in any field. Today, if we are talking about innovation to a group of physicists, it doesn't mean that only science students should learn about or should train themselves to be innovative. Anybody can do that. And what does it take to be an innovator? It takes about success, 99% of perspiration, and 1% of inspiration. And this statement, of course, is from one of the most, I should say, successful inventors of all times. And I'm speaking of Thomas Alva Edison, who said this. And what does he mean? He means we can be successful inventors or innovators if we have an idea or an imagination which is an inspiration, and that takes only a little part of it, but most part of that of the success has to be perspiration, means using your science, using your knowledge, and using your skills. And that is where most of the success comes. And therefore, when we talk about a lot of people having brilliant ideas and all, but still when they are not innovators or inventors or successful entrepreneurs, we will have to look at this statement, which says that idea or imagination can be only 1%, whereas what you require to be successful in being an inventor is the perspiration, the science and skills of it. And science is equally important. Okay. What do we need? This is what he says. To invent, all you need is a good imagination and a pile of junk. Pile of junk. That's a very strong statement. So we don't need any qualifications to be an innovator, and that is what he has proved, and therefore we'll have to believe that. At the same time, yes, we have several examples where it's not the degree, it is not the education that we gather from the textbooks that makes an innovator. It is how we apply that knowledge, and how do we train ourselves to look at that knowledge is what makes a good inventor. ಹಲೋ
ಹಾ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದೇ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ.
Where did you lose me?
That is regarding the invention. What are the things? One video you have shown.
Okay. Which are the 3 inventions that are there? Can somebody answer that? Hello, any audience?
ಪುನಃ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇಡೀ ಇದನ್ನು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಶನ್ ತೋರಿಸಿ ಶರ್ಮಾ, ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಹಾ, ಓಕೆ, ನಾನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ.
ನಾವು
ಕಾಣುತ್ತಲ್ಲ?
Can't.
Okay. This is the video I showed. Okay. Wires that don't catch fire. Okay. Any answers?
Yeah, well, probably they can unmute and they can say no, or
Yes.
whether they have given the answer in the chat box. Then unmute ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ ಅವರು, that is better I think. Smriti Hebbar has given. Yeah, Smriti,
Good
please.
afternoon, sir. I think one of the innovation is the swinging of the cradle that the
Okay.
mother is swinging with the and another one is the thongs that is made out of that wire probably.
Okay.
And the other one is the Mati, she is baking on a mesh kind of a so that
Fantastic. Okay, those are the three things. Generally, I ask children how many are there, so people have to look for that. But because the audience is not here in front of me, so I will have to ask a different question. So that's fine. So there are three innovations. You will see that all these innovations have been for a specific purpose. And what is the purpose? To solve a problem. Okay. So we usually say that a invention is a generally a born out of necessity. Okay, and that's what we usually say. And where there is a necessity, there will always be an invention. Without a necessity or without a problem, without a specific problem, you will not have an option or a opportunity to invent. So the first thing for an inventor to be to be an inventor is to identify a problem that requires a solution. Okay, now here is another problem and a solution, and you all have seen these things, and we will never realize that these are some of the life's lessons that we can learn from around the world. Okay, and the problem here of course is that the ground where she wants to sleep is hard, and it is not easy to sleep on that, so she makes a mat out of whatever is available. Okay, two things we notice is that there is a necessity here, and she has a skill to solve that problem, and she uses a resource that is available, and she creates a solution. So essentially in any invention process, an important thing for an inventor is to first identify a problem, look for resources, develop a skill that with which he can solve the problem, and then finally implement it. And these are the four different action steps that we require. But then what are the other things that you need? So there are, this is the process which every inventor will follow. The first one is that he will identify, he or she, I'm sorry if I'm saying he, please make it also she, although all of you, because habits die hard. So we have been used to say he and she comes very rarely. So if I say he, it also means she. Okay. So necessity or a need or a problem must be there. And then one must think of an idea of a solution. Okay, and to put this into practice, one has to develop certain skills. You will always have a skill, but maybe we will not have used it many times. And then the once the skill is put into practice, you have a process or a product or something that you have invented, and that innovation has to be tested. It has to be tested for its efficiency. And once you are certain that it is efficient, you can declare it as an invention, try to make profit out of it, or you just be happy that you have done something good. And these are some of the these processes are inevitable in every invention that we see. And there are different types of inventions, so we can give a lot of examples of each of these. One of them is the, of course, you will have an idea, a theory, or a concept, which can also be an invention. There can be a device, and almost all of you have a lot of devices on your person, maybe a headphone, maybe a smartphone, or maybe your earphones. So all these things are devices which give you a specific function. Then there can be a process. And here, yes, I remember when we see at CFTRA, when we made a upma mix, people started laughing at us. Okay, who needs upma mix? Everybody, how many? I don't know how many of you are upma fans, but there are also upma haters here. Okay, so people started saying that why do we need to have a upma mix? Upma is such a easy fast food that anyone can make it. But this was in 1970s when CFTRI invented. But today the situation has changed. We go, we buy a upma mix, come home and cook. Okay, and that is how the upma mix doesn't change the product. It just changes the process which you use in making a product. Okay, similarly, a new use of an old object can also be a important innovation or invention. And if you already have a device or an invention, and if you improve its functionality, that can also be a invention. So therefore the types of inventions are different, and each of these can be very important. We usually think that rocket science is the biggest science. Okay, yesterday you have heard Dr. Sudhindra Haldodderi, and he must have spoken about a lot of things and a lot of mathematics and very big equations and all. It's not necessary always that inventions have to be big. It can also be very simple. The main function is that it should be utilitarian or useful. And what you're seeing here on my screen is a very simple gadget that will be loved by almost all the teachers, especially. These days, teachers use markers instead of chalk. But there were times when we used to have our hands full of dust. Okay, and the classroom used to be a dust. The classroom monitor used to have a problem because he had to actually wipe the board or keep the table clean whenever the next teacher or the lecturer came. So this is a solution for one of the simplest or one of the very widely prevalent problems. So solutions can be simple. The problems can also be very simple, but then finding a solution for that problem is important. I'll just give you an exercise. You can just think about this. And this is one of the solutions where we have devised we have a device which does not dirty your hands. Can there be an alternative device? Can there be an alternative solutions for this problem of having writing with a chalk but still not dirtying our hands? Okay. Here is another example of that, a simple foldable carrier. Okay. Now, what does this do? You can have a disposable, portable tray. So you can put it in your pocket, carry it with you. You will see that it also has a napkin here. So several functions have been put together into this, and that is a fantastic innovation. It is not rocket science. It's a simple designing, but still someone thought about this. That's where the genius lies. And someone thought about a problem of carrying a hard tray to different places, of how the spills occur. And this is the solution that came out of realizing that problem. An important thing in any invention process is
ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದಾ? ರಿಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಅವರಿಗೆ.
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕಾಣ್ತದೆ. ಇದು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರು ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅವ್ರು ತೆಗೆದು ಹೇಳುದು. ಇದೆಯಾ, ಇದು ಕಷ್ಟ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ.
Hello. Okay.
Okay, now we can hear.
Yeah.
Sharma, don't mute yourself.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ನನಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊತ್ತು ಮಾತಾಡುವಾಗ.
ಓಕೆ, ನನಗೇನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. So I have to go back and do it. Okay, let me say. So generally these are the excuses that I find when I talk to people about innovators and all. People say that I don't have a problem, so I don't have to solve any problem. That is not true. So I think I and Dr. APR also have some problem which we have not been able to solve. So look at our specs. It always slips from our nose bridge. There is a nose bridge, and yet it doesn't sit in the place. Okay. And secondly, when we wear a mask, okay, very simple. When we wear a mask, the specs gets foggy, and we have not been able to solve that problem. So the easiest solution that we have found is either remove the specs or remove the mask, one of these things. But can we have a solution for this problem? Yes, that is one thing, that because these common problems will be there for everybody. Most people in say several classes, when I have asked this question, people sit there quietly saying that I have no problem, which is not true. The truth is we have not trained ourselves to look at the problem closely. We are not looking at... Hello.
Sharma, 1 minute. Mute ಮಾಡಿ. ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ.
Okay. ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ. ನಿಮ್ದು ಇದು ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಶನ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಶನ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಒನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ನಾನು ಮಾತ್ರ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ.
ಹೌದು, ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು.
ಓಕೆ, I'll do that. ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ.
ಯಾರು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್?
ಓಕೆ, ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ.
ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಾಧಾರಣ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುದು. ಬಟ್ ದೆನ್ ದಿ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ yes, I have tried but I could not succeed. But then the third excuse is always that I thought of that, but I found that there is a solution already there. Last one is the most common one. I am not a science student, so why should I be an inventor? I cannot be an inventor. So all these are not the excuses that any inventor would give. It's only the excuses that we people usually give. Now problems, where are they not? They are there everywhere. This is a problem that a mother faces many times, and she has found a solution. And maybe we will laugh, but then we have to actually appreciate her to use her, the immediately whatever solution that she could find. And this is an example of where you can have a problem. And then solutions are not always gadgets. Okay, we have the clock system working. Only thing is the digits are missing. So why can't we have it and still have the right time? And look at the person's, it's not an innovation in the sense that it is something, it's not something new, but what he has done is he has thought differently and got a solution to his problem of not buying a clock. Okay, and this of course will be liked by South Canara people, especially during rainy days when you have to carry both the umbrella and a heavy bag. Probably you would be wondering how we can handle this, or should we be Durgas with the 12 hands so that we can carry a lot more things. And this is a solution a father made for his daughter in Manipur. And it's a practical solution, of course, and a very simple and easy one. The question is, many of us don't think of these kind of solutions, and that is the problem. When we look at this photo, we appreciate and we clap, but then when we face a real problem, generally we keep quiet and we think that yes, this is not my ball of game, my not my problem, so we will not do. Okay, or many times we don't look at the problem closely. We look at the problem in a different perspective, and so we miss the bus. And here, look at this. Of course, this is the great wit of the Malayalis. I know that there are a lot of Malayalis also in this audience. And the thing is, the beautiful thing about that is he has used available resources. Now, my question is, what was the problem? The solution is there. You can see two solutions here, an umbrella and of course his innovative solution. So what was the problem here? The problem statement becomes very, very important. The problem here is to have a portable shade, a shade or a shadow that comes with you. So you can do that with anything. Your physics tells you that any opaque thing above your head will give you a shadow, and so will protect you from the bright sun. And but then the solution need not always be an umbrella, a complex solution. You can always have solutions simple, and it could be your the chunni, or it could be a book, it could be anything. Many times instinctively we find these solutions, but we never think of them as innovations or as the first step towards innovations. So my request is that when you do this, think a little more or stop for a while, think about what you're doing, and probably you will find a solution for a very complex problem also. The other excuse is that, okay, yes, already there are several solutions to this problem, so why should I again look at it? Okay, no invention is final. And if Thomas Alva Edison invented the incandescent bulb, it didn't stop there. You have a number of bulbs here which came later. Even among these, okay, I have not added the LED bulb, which should be here, but even among this, a lot of innovations has gone in. For example, take this CFL bulb. Okay, it is not just the shape or the mechanism that is there. See, it has got a whole lot of other things. For example, the phosphor that is coated inside is different, and that came from something else. Okay, from the inability to have large tube lights. Okay, tube lights have a limitations, and how do we overcome that limitation was the trigger to come to the CFL. And then CFL led to again LEDs, because there are light emitting diodes. How do we make these light emitting diodes give us light with very little of electricity? And that is another challenge that people say. So the whole thing here, the series, entire series is just one device. It uses electricity. Hello, can you hear? It uses electricity and gives you a light. That is the only thing. So almost every product looks similar. It gives you a white light, but then the mechanisms are different, innovations are different, and so therefore the innovation, any one innovation is not final. And secondly, we say that yes, there is already one there, and we had tried, but I could not succeed. Thomas Alva Edison somewhere said that he had to try 10,000 materials or the same material in 10,000 different ways to get that tungsten filament in his incandescent lamp. And what made his incandescent lamp work is that one single element. And he had to look for different materials. He has started from the carbon, the graphite, and he went on to using several different materials till he found the tungsten, which was resistant to heat. And what he says is very, very, very relevant. He says, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Okay. If we fail once, we get dejected. Probably that should not be the thing. And of course, look at the simplest solution that we can have. And we may laugh at this solution, the butter glue stick. But then making a butter glue stick is not easy because the butter, I don't know how many of you have carried a chocolate in your pocket to maybe to give it to your friend. But then if in the hot sun during summer, the chocolate doesn't stay the way it has to, okay, it melts. So similarly, you cannot have a glue stick like this without a lot of science going into it, without a lot of thought going into that. So any simple solution can also have a lot of science in that and a lot of effort going into that. Whenever you see something new, something innovative, please appreciate the effort that goes into that. And the last thing that you have to remember is that any innovation has to be utilitarian, it should be useful. Anything that is not useful is only for our self-satisfaction. So any process, any gadget, or anything that you do should be the thing. Simplest thing here is you see your physics book probably is very, very heavy and difficult to hold. A simple device like this can help that. And of course, for those people who want to have best of the both worlds of a opener and as well as a finger ring, yeah, here it is. Then we don't have to wait for or look for tools to get our invention going. Okay, these are pictures from Thailand and from Manipur where they have used empty cans and empty things to have floating devices. Okay, one of our probably a naughty uh, student who wanted to follow the he was disciplined by these teachers probably, so he found a different way of carrying things to his school or to his office, whatever it is. It can be very innovative. You will find these kind of innovations. So here what he has done is to utilize the space that is normally is not used. And if you are an architect or a builder or a person who wants to build a new house, think about these things. So there may be a lot of spaces that you are not using and how best you can use. You can be an innovator or an inventor there. Okay, I'll skip a few of these things. Just have a look at it and laugh. He wants to have a food at the same time, a snack while working. And the best thing that he can do is to have a his jacket on the reverse so that it is very close to his mouth. Okay. Now this is something that you all have seen, a portable workshop or office, but we never gave the credit to the first person who did this. Okay, a cycle becomes a workshop, his office also his vehicle, so all in one. That's the beauty of it. Now lastly, what is this? Can someone answer? Unmute and answer. Hello. Yeah.
Someone is unmuted.
Oh, I am on mute.
No, you. We can hear you.
Okay, okay. So can someone unmute and say what is this?
Palm, sir.
Palm? No, it's a device. One clue? Anyone else?
For palm print, taking palm print.
Repeat it.
Sir, for taking palm print.
No, it is not a palm print. Okay, fine. Let me just show you what it is. Okay, this is it. It's a paper clip. Okay. Now, when we are talking about any innovation, generally we think that it has to be something new. No, you can have a new design for something old. That's it. So I'm sure many of us would buy this rather than this. Okay, that's a thing. I actually wanted to tell you a story, but that I think I will tell you later. Okay, where do we get an idea? Look at this. This is called a bomb beetle. Okay, bomb beetle, and actually it shoots a bomb. You can see that. Okay, now what it has is that at the back of its body there is a chamber where a specific chemical comes there and it gets oxidized and all of a sudden expands. Okay, it's a very little bit of fuel which expands in a very short time, and non-explode means it doesn't cause any fire, but still it expands and gives power. Can we use similar thing here in an internal combustion engine? So if you are looking at, if you have a problem and if you are looking at where do we get solutions, so generally most of the solutions are around us. Keep a watch and you will get the solutions. Okay, when we say that, okay, my specs is slipping from the nose, and I know that it is because either because of the sweat or because of the wear and tear on the nose bridge, then a similar thing must be happening on my door. So the door latch may be slipping, and what have I done there? Our door latch may be too tight. So if I have oiled there, lubricated there, so what can stop this kind of a slippage? Can be a solution somewhere. Okay, look at this. Okay, this is a cockroach, and they have shot it slowly, how it slips through a slit which is 5 to 6 times thinner than the body of the cockroach. Okay, and what is the inspiration? An inspiration is this on the right side. It's a robo. It's a robo which can squeeze itself and can go anywhere. The inspiration comes from cockroach, the one thing that we hate most. Okay, and on this side you can see that a cockroach can take a lot of pressure and still retain its shape. So these are characteristics that we require in a car or in any house or in any object. Okay, how nice it will be if we can replicate what is happening in a cockroach body. Fantastic. This is a famous example of things, the Buckminster Fullerene thing. And if you go to Bangalore and look at the Infosys campus, you will find a architecture like this, or the Siddhartha Institute of Technology in Tumkur has this. I don't know about Mangalore. I have not seen anything like this, but this is the Buckminster Fullerene molecule, which you are familiar with, the fifth form of carbon, and the cage-like molecule formation. This cage-like design is one of the strongest with the lightest of the materials. Also, it remains very strong, and the idea came from this kind of natural things. Okay, I want to tell you a story. The story is that, okay, we are all educated, we are doing MSc, post graduation and all, but still many times maybe we fail in applying our knowledge. Okay, I was working in the Manipal Medical College some time back, and I remember Jaishila, who was a worker there. He was not even fourth standard pass. So he was working in our laboratory. We had a problem. We had cups like this. These cups were used to feed mice regularly, and they had to be sterilized. So for sterilization, what we did was to pressure cook these things in a autoclave. Autoclave is where we're at 120 or 1.2 atmospheric pressure and 120 degrees centigrade, we sterilize things. And when that is done, the cups used to get stuck. And after that, after sterilization, we cannot touch the cups by hand, and therefore we had to remove each of them, separate them from each other without touching them, which was a difficult problem. So every day we used to lose somewhere around 500 to 600 cups because we had 4,000 to 5,000 cages, and that was the problem. So this fellow, we had told him not to touch any cup or separate the cups by hands. But one day we found that he was very happy. He never came back to us and saying that, okay, sir, we have lost so many cups today. And we were surprised. Must be he was he cheating? What is he doing? So we were curious. So we went and checked. He had found a solution, and we had tried all our MSc knowledge, BSc knowledge, and PhD knowledge in finding a solution, but could not. He had done this. Very simple. What he had done was to dump everything into, again, very, very hot boiling water. Simple. All the cups would separate, and he will just pour the water out. So the fully sterilized cups would be again back in place. So this was a very simple solution, and this solution was not thought of by any of us. So it is many times by accident also you can find. And the root of that problem was here in the von Guericke experiment that we are all familiar about vacuum. So when you pressure cook two cups like that, so the air inside escapes out, and when you take it out, of course the air in the atmosphere will be pressurizing and sticking them together. And if you have to remove that, the simplest solution is to put air in between, or increase the pressure, or expand the air expand the air or water that is present between the cups. And this solution was there for us everywhere, but we never thought about that. So this can also happen to a scientist. Okay, so for an inventor, it's very essential that he identifies a problem properly, then looks at an idea or a solution, thinks about an idea, and of course this has to be based on science. Without that, it is not possible. Whether you are a science student or not, most of these solutions are based on science. Okay, then to put it into practice, you will need to have some creativity or skill. So maybe a building a gadget, or maybe working out a tool, or fabricating something. So these are some of the skills that you need. If you don't have the skill, you can always approach someone with your idea and get his skill and his help in creating this. So let me just give you an example of I think Neha Bhatt from Puttur. Last year she got a national prize for devising a sprayer that helped her father in farming. Okay, she stays in Puttur. I forgot the name of the school. Okay, but this girl, the idea came to her, but she was not able to fabricate all these things. So she used the help of her grandfather, her father, and an engineering uncle and all. So she directed the idea, and they also came out with the additional thing, and they created a sprayer, which is now in the stage of commercialization. I hope she was here, and it would have been very nice. And so she's just 16 years. So an inventor, age is not a problem, education is not a problem, ideas are essential. Then skills and creativity you can always hire, and you can always outsource. The other essential thing, the trial and testing, is something that is important. This is where you spend a lot of your time. So sometimes your idea would be fantastic to imagine, but then when you put it into practice, it may not work in the first instance. So you will have to look at it closely, then work it out, change, review, and do all these things. And that is where the perspiration comes, 99% of perspiration. And finally, you have your invention. And it's not necessary that you always profit out of it, but if you can profit, there's no harm in that. And that's where the patenting comes. I will take the questions on patenting later, but this is what we need to do. So lastly, it's almost time now. So therefore, I would like to close here. The first thing I want to ask you people, because you always have youngsters in your neighborhood, please tell them about the, the idea that they can train themselves to be innovators. If India has to be the powerful force that we want it to be in the future, innovation is one of the routes that we have to take. There is no other go. And innovation doesn't come by birth. Okay, we will have to actually train ourselves to do this. It's not difficult either. So all that we need to do is to look at different problems around us, identify specific problems that are solvable with the resources that we have. And there are several competitions with regard to innovations for young children to promote this. One of them is the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR's Young Innovators Award for School Children. And this award is given to students under 18 years of age. And the eligibility is that you have to present an idea or a model of an idea through an application, and usually the application is called for in April, and the prizes are announced in September. Prizes are given away on September. As of now, from Karnataka, there have been only 3 prizes in the last 12 or 13 years of this competition, and most of them have been from the urban areas. The only rural area or the semi-urban area that I found was from Puttur last year. Okay, and that's a great development in Karnataka. Karnataka lags behind in these kind of competitions. That's a truth, and we need to promote that. So my purpose of talking about innovations that we can train ourselves to be innovators is this. And that doesn't mean that I want only the high school students to talk about this. We all of us, even at this age, need to know that we can be innovators and we can train ourselves to be innovators. And that's the purpose of this talk. Okay, so lastly, if you are very serious about innovations, please close your eyes, think of a problem, and write to me about the problem. You can message me on the number that I am showing you here, 988 6640328 on WhatsApp. Mention your name and your problem, and please notice you cannot solve some of the sociological problems. We have a lot of pollution in Mangalore is something that generally I get about. Well, that you cannot solve alone. So that has to be a collective solution. So therefore, don't think of those things. There are solutions, there are problems that are at home, there are problems that are on your person, and not meant, the problems of sociology or personality, specific problems. Look at it and please send it to me. If you don't want to send it on WhatsApp or don't want to use WhatsApp, because these days people are very scared of WhatsApp, you can send it on email, kollegala@gmail.com. Okay. Lastly, I would be happy if you can listen to the podcast that we are producing. It talks about these kind of innovations, new science that's going on around the world. So we bring you every day a 10 minutes talk on different kind of research going on around the world every day in Kannada. Okay, if you are interested, you can check at Anchor and search for Kollegala, or you can Google Jana Suddhi and you will get this. Okay, and I stop here for your questions. I thank Dr. Radhakrishna for inviting me to give this lecture.
Yeah, now you can ask question with the Kollegala Sharma. Please unmute yourself and you can ask straight away.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Yeah, please.
Sir, I have an idea. Sir, it's about collecting the lightning or gathering the energy used in lightning for storage and using it as an energy source.
Oh,
Okay, the idea cannot happen to one person. We are 7+ billion people around the world. So similar ideas can happen to many people. And why haven't this solution been found? You should ask the question. Okay. Interestingly, okay, yesterday only, I think last Saturday, I spoke about this. Why can't we have, electricity stored or electricity extracted from lightning? One of the problem is the electricity present, the amount of electricity present in a flash of lightning is extremely huge. So we do not have a facility to store that immediately. So the first thing that you need to do is to look at how do we store a very high density electricity in a very small space. And unless we do that, it is not possible. So what will be the advantage of this? You can also look at the advantage. We are now talking about electric vehicles where we need similar high density electric storage facility. Or we are also looking at storage solutions at homes where instead of storing in a huge battery of batteries, the solar electricity, if we can have a small panel where we can store all the electricity, it will be very good. So we need a very high density storage facility to do all these things. So it is not that we cannot do from the, the idea is not there. The idea has been there from Benjamin Franklin's times. Okay, Benjamin Franklin, in fact, tried to do that and he got a, fortunately he didn't die. Okay, that's fortunate for us because we could get the lightning arresters because of that. Otherwise, we would have been probably it would have taken a lot more time to do this. So the idea is not new, but then it has not been worked up. Okay, like I said,
Sir, can you ask me something?
yeah,
Sir, if we just earth that extra charges, there is an earthing process, right, sir? So if we earth that extra charges, if
yeah,
we could able to control that excess charges in the lightning, then we can store it, right?
definitely, no problem. Okay, we have been actually directing the charges, extra charges to the earth. Okay, that is what the lightning arrestor is. Okay, why do we do that? Because we are not able to store it and then retrieve it at our command. Okay, a battery is a simple device where you store because you want to extract it at a later time. Now, can you do that with the earth on the ground? And if you can do it, can you do it without affecting other mechanisms is the question. The idea is there, solution is still to be found.
now, Sharma, I will just interrupt. There are few questions in the chat box.
Okay.
Dr. Chandrasekhar Shetty from Saint Joseph College, he has asked, people lose hope when they fail. How to motivate them?
Most difficult question because the hope has to come from within. It cannot come from outside. All of us have been failures at one or other time. It's not that everybody is a success every day. Yesterday you heard about Roddam. So he also had difficulties. Okay, it's not that people don't have difficulties. Difficulties will be there. The only thing is we have to look at every problem as an opportunity to learn or to find something, to do something new. Then only we will be able to be innovative. And this is what we need to teach our children.
And Soumya from SBM PB Center, she asked, how can we differentiate between research and invention?
Yeah, a invention is generally considered as a device or a process or something that is useful. Okay, a research is just a knowledge. Okay, finding that the sky is blue and why the sky is blue is a research. Okay, and using that knowledge to make your home also blue. Okay, your roof also as blue, using that knowledge is invention or technology. Did I answer?
Yeah. Now, Viresh from SBM PB Center, he asked, sir, in future, can we imagine mobile without batteries, run on other resources?
Oh, yeah, the idea is there, but then if you are packing a lot of things into your mobile, the movies and everything, you need more battery. Okay, so if it can be very thin and lean, okay, only for maybe communicating, probably then yes, you need little bit of battery, and that can be there. And if you look at it from the Nokia times today, the amount of charge that you need to or the times that you need to charge your smartphones has decreased. Okay, both in the time as well as recharging times, and that is because there has been a lot of improvement in the batteries from the nickel metal halide to today the lithium batteries. There has been a lot of change. You are not aware of the changes, but this is what has happened, and that is why the phones are now lasting with longer times, and you need to charge it less frequently. It can be done, but more importantly, what people are looking at these days is on mobile sensors. Okay, something like a tattoo on your hand. Okay, you just write a tattoo, and that tattoo will be the sensor. It will tell you a lot of things. Yesterday only, the science robotics. Okay, the robotic science has published a paper where you print something on your hand and you hold your hand like this, and it will be a sort of a robotic hand, in the sense by doing this you are actually actuating and directing another robot to move its hands the way that you can do. And it's all because of a small, very thin, transparent tattoo. Okay, and this was printed, and it is a very high tech. Okay, this also needs electricity, and where does it get its electricity from? It gets its electricity from the movement of your hands, from the folds of your skin, and things like that. So the battery, there are lots of things going on, both in storage, in generation of electricity, and in sensing of very feeble electrical signals in sensors. So all these things are exciting areas for work. It can be done, but then it also depends what kind of device you want to power. You cannot power a car which needs a lot of power with a simple small device. Okay, so you need a different kind of battery for that.
Sharma, your talk, I think, inspired many, and many innovative ideas are now coming in the chat box. Naveed of first BSc, he asked, can we make a cable-less current and then transformation?
Yes, it has already been there. This is called electrical induction method, and you already have high-end Apple phones, that is iPhones, as well as Samsung phones, which are charged, okay, without cables. Okay, so you just place them on an induction table, and automatically they get charged. So that is one way of doing it. The other way of this one, the idea has been there. can we use microwaves to transmit electricity? Okay, we have not been able to do it still, but then maybe in future. But the idea has been there for quite some time. So many ideas do not work at this moment, mainly because we have not reached, or there is a critical component which has not been invented. And once that is done, probably we will be able to do it.
Anyone is there? Unmute and we can ask.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. In rural areas, in rainy seasons, there will be heavy rain, so that supply of electricity will be become so hard in rural areas, like
Yes.
Madikeri near areas. So
Yes.
why we can't use rainwater, and it will fall from the shed of our house, no? So why we can't use dynamo there and to supply electricity for our own house?
Fantastic. So,
Pawan Nayak, 1 minute, 1 minute. Pawan Nayak, please introduce yourself.
yeah.
Myself is Pawan Nayak. I am first year MSc student, Philomena College, and my home is from Sampaje. My home is Sampaje.
Okay. So the question is, yes, the idea is fantastic, but who has tried it? Have you tried it? Now that's the question. So you look at, at the people around. If anyone has tried this already, there have been, the small generators. Okay, what we call as micro hydroelectric generators in and around Dakshina Kannada. But then tapping electricity from rainwater has not been done. You can try that. For that, one of the problem is that the rain is distributed. It is not a single flow. It flows everywhere. So you will have to make it flow in one particular direction, in one particular corridor, or in one particular pipe. So you will have to first harvest water and then make it run in a specific direction, in a specific this, and then you can tap the power. Okay, and there are other parameters also. How fast does it run, how long it has to run, and all those things. So it all depends on several of these factors. The idea is not bad. How do we implement is the question. That is the problem. Now look at that and try to find a solution. It is possible, and it is within your reach. There's nothing that is not possible, because all resources are available in Mangalore. You get pipes, you get the water harvesting engineering consultancy, and you also have generators of that size. Everything is available. What we lack is probably the idea that you already have. So now the next one, the 99% perspiration. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Now there are the questions are now coming, and Pallavi Bekal asks, is holography a invention or innovation?
It's both. It is both.
Innovation.
It is both, because it gave us a knowledge about how light behaves under specific times, and we use that knowledge to get a hologram. And to remember, when I was in Science Reporter, a single hologram was very costly. Okay, the hologram was very costly. It was very novel and very costly. And today you get it on your mask cards. Just people print it on that, and that's a development.
And also there are the two questions with Nalini Mohan. He asked, which is best innovation according to you, sir?
Upittu. It's not a joke. Okay. Now, whoever first discovered this Upittu or even roti, okay, and that fellow must have been extremely brilliant. It cannot have happened in one day. Okay, like we think about today, or by one person. So the first roti must have been, for that, to make a roti, whether it is from this or that. The first thing is the people should have realized that they have to first make a powder of this and then bake it on a very hot coal. Then only it will be baked. Now, this process is not simple. How do you make powder first? That idea should come. And then making the powder and making a dough out of it. You cannot simply throw the powder into the fire and get a roti. So you have to make a dough out of it. And after you make the dough, how do you roll it or tap it into a roti? Okay. So they must realize that it has to be thin to be baked. It cannot be a ball to be baked. So all these things, it's a wonderful, wonderful invention. So whenever you eat a chapati, please remember that it is one of the greatest inventions of humankind.
Okay, thank you. We will be going to wind up this particular very interesting, beautiful webinar. We are very much happy that around more than 75 participants for this particular webinar, and they actively participated in the webinar. And almost all students are getting inspired by your lecture, Sharma. And already your WhatsApp number is there, and the email you have given, and certainly they will contact you because they will get the creative ideas, and you are the resource person, certainly. And you said in your talk, invention require the creativity, and one has to select the problem and then try to get the solution, attacking the problem in the innovative ways, and ultimately the new gadget or the new type of the material can be get invented. Thank you, sir, for the time which you have spent to give the inspiration for the all the participants. Before wind up, just one announcement. Tomorrow there will be the webinar by Professor T.N. Keshava from the STM College, Ujire, and we will speak on how Irudellava Bittu regarding the vacuum, the story of vacuum. The webinar will be from 4:30 to 5:30. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಶರ್ಮಾ. ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ, ಬಹಳ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯ್ತು. ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೈರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಇನ್ನೊಮ್ಮೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ರತ್ಯಕ್ಷವಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಕಾಣಬೇಕು, ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಕಾಲೇಜಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೊಸ ಐಡಿಯಾವನ್ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ದ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಸೈಂಟಿಸ್ಟ್, ದ ಇನ್ವೆಂಟರ್ಸ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಹೂ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕಾಲೇಜ್.
I thank you, Dr. Radhakrishna. I thank you and the Saint Philomena's and Dr. Deepak, and of course the audience. Okay, you are welcome to trouble me at any time. I would love to be giving a lecture in person always, because that gives a lot more interaction. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.